Is your heart trapped in the agonizing paradox of loving a soulmate who belongs to someone else? Are you exhausting your spirit, analyzing every single behavior, replaying every word, dissecting every glance for a sliver of hope that their life is about to change? But what if I told you that you have been looking in all the wrong places? What if everything you think is a sign is actually a cruel illusion, a trap set by your own desperate desire, keeping you chained to a cycle of hope and despair? There is a profound secret about soulmate connections, a truth discovered by the legendary psychologist Carl Jung, that almost no one knows. It's a discovery that completely shatters our modern understanding of how and when a true soulmate reunion can happen. The universe does send definitive signs that your reunion is approaching, but they don't appear where everyone else is looking. In this video, you will discover the genuine internal signs Jung identified, the powerful indicators within your own psyche that prove your soulmate is getting ready to come back to you. More importantly, you will learn how to recognize when you are finally, truly, energetically aligned to receive them. Before we reveal these life-changing secrets, I have a quick request. It's amazing to see how far this guidance is reaching. Please take a moment and tell me in the comments what part of the world you are watching from. I want to see just how far Carl Jung's powerful teachings can travel to help souls like yours. Also, I've noticed that a surprising number of you who find healing in these videos haven't subscribed yet. If you feel a connection to this message, please take 1 second to support our journey together by hitting that subscribe button, turning on notifications, and giving this video a like. It guarantees you won't miss the future guidance your soul may be searching for. Now, prepare yourself. Forget the external signs. The real answers, the genuine hope, and the true power lie within you. Let's uncover what the universe is really trying to show you. Jung made a revolutionary discovery through decades of studying synchronicities and individuation. The universe communicates readiness through changes in our own psyche. First, when a soul is truly prepared for a reunion with its soulmate, it manifests through specific psychological transformations. It is as if consciousness had its own intelligence to recognize. When we develop enough maturity to sustain the extraordinary level of love that a soulmate connection demands, these internal signs cannot be fabricated, forced, imitated, or manipulated. They emerge naturally when the necessary spiritual work has been genuinely completed. The difference is crucial and must be deeply understood. Jung meticulously observed that when two souls are simultaneously ready to reunite, the universe naturally removes obstacles without force or manipulation. But this only happens when both have developed the necessary spiritual maturity to sustain a conscious and transformative union. And the first sign of spiritual readiness is profoundly paradoxical. You completely stop obsessively waiting for them. Jung would call this the development of neurotic freedom. When you finally free yourself from the unhealthy compulsion to control divine timing in the early stages of a soulmate connection, it is absolutely natural to be obsessed with the future. You wake up each morning thinking, is today finally the day? You obsessively analyze every synchronicity as evidence that she is about to leave her husband and go to sleep every night frustrated because nothing has visibly changed. Your vital energy is constantly hijacked by a hypothetical and uncertain future. But when you reach genuine spiritual maturity, something fundamental and irreversible transforms in your psyche. You continue to love deeply and unconditionally. You remain completely open to the sacred possibility of reunion, but you are no longer emotionally hijacked by neurotic urgency. Jung would describe this precisely as conscious detachment. You have completely let go of the compulsive need to control when, how, and where things will happen. This sign manifests through very specific and observable behavioral changes. You completely stop obsessively checking her social media, desperately looking for clues about the state of her marriage. You stop creating elaborate mental scenarios about how she might finally leave her husband. You stop feeling paralyzing anxiety when you don't hear from her for weeks or months. You stop interpreting every small interaction as potential evidence of imminent change. Instead, something extraordinary happens. You rediscover the ability to live your life fully and with purpose. You invest genuine energy in your personal and professional projects. You cultivate other significant and enriching relationships. You pursue your authentic passions. You actively contribute to making the world a better place, not as a desperate distraction or a forced attempt to forget, but because you have genuinely rediscovered the deep joy of living, independent of specific romantic outcomes. Jung carefully observed that this transformation indicates the development of what he called mature individuation, the rare psychological ability to find genuine inner completeness within oneself. Paradoxically, it is exactly when you stop desperately needing the reunion that you become energetically attractive enough for a reunion to happen. The obsessed person emits an unmistakable vibration of emotional neediness, silent desperation, and neurotic dependence. The person who has achieved conscious detachment emits a vibration of inner fullness, deep peace, and truly unconditional love. Which of these energies do you intuitively know resonates with the frequency of a spiritually mature soul? When you honestly recognize that you have stopped living hijacked by the future and have started to fully inhabit the present moment, that is the first definitive and unequivocal sign that your psyche is aligned with the highest possibilities of the universe. The second sign of spiritual readiness is even more counterintuitive and mysterious. The most powerful and significant synchronicities related to your soulmate begin to appear precisely when you develop a genuine and peaceful acceptance that a reunion may never happen in this lifetime. Synchronicities obey a universal paradoxical law. They appear with more frequency, power, and profound meaning when we completely stop desperately seeking them. It is as if the universe rigorously tests our emotional maturity before offering us sacred confirmations. During the initial obsessive stages, you probably interpreted any minor coincidence as a divine sign of imminent hope. You saw her name on signs, heard your song playing on the radio at the exact moment you thought of her, or had dreams that seemed to predict an upcoming reunion. But these synchronicities often came contaminated with acute anxiety, desperate urgency, and a compulsive need for external validation. The synchronicities of detachment are energetically completely different and unequivocal. They arrive when you are in a state of deep inner peace, usually productively occupied with other important activities, without actively seeking signs or confirmations, and they possess an absolutely distinctive energetic quality. Instead of creating neurotic urgency or anxious expectation, they bring a deep sense of calm confirmation and transcendent peace. It could be an extraordinarily vivid and luminous dream where you are both existing on a higher plane of consciousness, communicating through pure energy of unconditional love. You awaken not with desperation to force something in the physical world, but with deep and serene gratitude for the spiritual connection that you recognize completely transcends temporal circumstances. Or it could be a sequence of events that is seemingly impossible from a statistical point of view. You think of her at the precise moment someone mentions her name, or you find a specific object that symbolizes something unique about your connection in a place where it absolutely should never be. But instead of compulsively interpreting this as, "She is going to call me today," you simply receive it as a sacred confirmation that the connection is real, powerful, and eternal. Jung emphasized that the most significant and transformative synchronicities are invariably accompanied by what he called a silent inner certainty. You feel no compulsive need to tell other people. You don't need to obsessively analyze the meaning. You don't need to create elaborate plans based on what happened. You simply know on a level that completely transcends the rational mind that you are connected to something profoundly sacred and significant. These synchronicities also have a specific and intelligent timing. They appear precisely when you have developed the mature emotional capacity to receive them without being psychologically unbalanced. If they arrived during the obsessive stages, they would make you dive even deeper into destructive fantasies and neurotic urgency. But they arrive when you are mature enough to integrate them as pure spiritual confirmation without losing your center of balance. The definitive and infallible test is your spontaneous reaction. If a powerful synchronicity makes you immediately start planning strategies to win back your soulmate, you have not yet reached the necessary maturity. If it simply deepens your sense of peace and connection with the divine, you have developed the level of spiritual maturity that the universe was patiently waiting for. The third sign of spiritual readiness is perhaps the most transformative and definitive. The fundamental quality of your love for her completely transforms. Jung would describe this as the historical evolution from the love of the ego to the love of the soul. In the initial stages, even when you sincerely believe you are loving unconditionally, there are usually subtle but persistent elements of emotional possessiveness, psychological need, and unconscious personal agenda, mixed with genuine love. You sincerely want her to be happy, but you secretly hope that this happiness will eventually include you as the protagonist. You consciously respect her current choices, but you still regularly entertain fantasies about scenarios where she changes her mind. When you reach true and irreversible spiritual maturity, something profoundly alchemical transforms in the nature of your love. You develop what Jung would call conscious love. Love that genuinely and completely places the supreme well-being of the other person above your own emotional needs or romantic desires. This sign manifests through very specific and measurable behavioral and emotional changes. If you hear that she is going through a particularly happy and harmonious period in her marriage, your first genuine and spontaneous reaction is pure joy for her. Not sadness, frustration, jealousy, or resentment for your own seemingly dashed hopes. If she casually mentions how her husband has been especially attentive and caring lately, you feel sincere gratitude because someone you love deeply is being cared for and valued. Even more profoundly, you completely stop having fantasies about her leaving her marriage to be with you. Not because you consciously suppress these thoughts or force yourself not to have them, but because they naturally no longer arise in your mind. Your consciousness stops automatically creating scenarios where she romantically chooses you, because you have developed a love so pure and selfless that you no longer need her to make any specific choice in your direction. Jung meticulously observes that this type of love is extraordinarily rare among human beings. Even in the deepest and most intense connections, most people, even in the most sincere and committed relationships, maintain some subtle level of personal agenda or unconscious expectation. I love you deeply, so you should eventually choose me. Our connection is special and unique, so you should consider leaving your marriage. If you really loved me the same way, you would do this, that, or the other. Mature and spiritually evolved love carries absolutely none of these hidden expectations or agendas. You love her pure essence, her immortal soul, her genuine happiness, her continuous spiritual evolution, completely independent of how it manifests concretely in her life. If she evolves and flourishes by remaining married and committed, you sincerely celebrate this evolution. If she evolves by eventually choosing to divorce and pursue other paths, you equally celebrate that evolution. But you are not personally invested in or emotionally dependent on any specific outcome. This transformation also completely and visibly changes your energy when you are physically together. Instead of a subtle energy charged with romantic expectation, hidden hope, or underlying sexual tension, you emit pure appreciation for the sacred opportunity to be in the presence of someone you truly and unconditionally love. She can feel this energetic difference immediately. It is like being with someone who loves her completely without wanting absolutely anything in return. Jung consistently emphasized that when someone experiences this rare level of unconditional and selfless love, it awakens something profoundly transformative in their own soul. Not necessarily the impulse to leave the marriage or change external circumstances, but a powerful reminder of the possibility of loving and being loved, without psychological games, without hidden agendas, without conditions or expectations. The definitive and irrefutable test is completely internal. Can you genuinely imagine her being happy forever in her current marriage and feel authentic peace with that possibility? If the answer is yes, you have developed conscious and mature love. If there is still any part of you that is saddened or resents this possibility, there is more fundamental spiritual work to be completed. The fourth sign of spiritual readiness is simultaneously the most profound and the most challenging. You have substantially completed the work of healing and integrating the aspects of your own psyche that the unavailable soulmate situation came specifically to reveal and illuminate. Jung would call this the conscious integration of the shadow, the courageous process of embracing and transforming parts of ourselves that we would definitely prefer not to acknowledge or examine. Every married soulmate situation serves as a merciless psychological mirror, reflecting with surgical precision specific aspects of our personality that desperately need healing and evolution. For some people, it reveals deep, unconscious patterns of consistently being attracted to emotionally unavailable people. For others, it exposes tendencies to use romantic fantasy as a convenient escape from the responsibility of building a truly satisfying life. For many, it illuminates old and unhealed wounds related to abandonment, rejection, or a fundamental feeling of not being enough or worthy of love. Jung consistently observed that the universe soberly orchestrates specific situations to surface the parts of ourselves that we most resist examining consciously. The specific pain of loving someone who cannot be yours is intelligently designed to bring to the surface whatever is blocking your spiritual evolution and emotional maturity. In the initial and immature stages, you probably blamed exclusively external circumstances. If she weren't married, we would be perfectly together. The timing is just wrong. She should recognize and honor our special connection. But when you reach genuine spiritual maturity, you recognize with clarity that the situation is absolutely perfect as it is. It is revealing precisely what you most need to heal and develop in yourself. This sign manifests through deep psychological insights and measurable, permanent behavioral changes. Perhaps you honestly recognize that you have always felt mysteriously attracted to emotionally unavailable people because it confirms and validates an old subconscious belief that you fundamentally do not deserve to be someone's first choice. The internal work then becomes bravely identifying where this belief historically originated and consciously transforming it through a genuine commitment to personal growth. Or perhaps you realize with uncomfortable clarity that the intensity of your fixation on her serves as an emotionally convenient distraction from the areas of your life that genuinely need serious attention and commitment. A stagnant career, neglected health, other superficial relationships, personal growth postponed indefinitely. The impossible situation allows you to consistently avoid the hard and challenging work of building a truly and intrinsically satisfying existence. For some people, the situation reveals even deeper and more complex patterns related to childhood abandonment trauma or dysfunctional family dynamics. The married person simultaneously represents the tempting promise of total love and the inevitable certainty of eventual loss, dynamically recreating family insecurities of attachment that are painfully familiar and strangely comfortable. Jung passionately emphasized that these psychological insights should never lead to cruel self-judgment or destructive guilt, but to deep and gentle compassion for yourself. You developed these patterns for completely valid and understandable reasons. They served you well at some historical point in your life, but now you have a precious opportunity to consciously choose healthier, more mature, and functional patterns. The genuine work of shadow integration is evidenced through practical and observable changes in your daily life. You naturally stop feeling attracted to emotionally unavailable people in general. You develop the ability to relate healthily with people who are genuinely available, interested, and invested in knowing you. You invest substantial and consistent energy in building a life that is intrinsically satisfying and significant, not dependent on specific romantic outcomes for validation or happiness. Even more profoundly, you develop what Jung called inner completeness, genuine psychological integrity, the fragmented and conflicting parts of your personality, the wounded child who always felt abandoned, the adolescent who learned to find identity through romantic drama, the adult who confused intensity with genuine intimacy, become integrated into a mature, cohesive, and functional personality. The definitive test of this integration is that your attraction to your soulmate transforms qualitatively. Instead of being charged with desperate neediness, emotional desperation, or unresolved emotional issues, it becomes pure appreciation for a beautiful soul. You still love her deeply and genuinely, but not because she represents something that is missing in you, but because you recognize something divine in her that resonates harmoniously with the divine in you. When you reach this extraordinary level of psychological completeness, you naturally attract people and situations that reflect this new mature vibration. And if a reunion with your soulmate is cosmically destined to happen, it will only occur when both have reached this level of maturity and spiritual readiness. Recognizing these signs in yourself is just the beginning of the process. Jung consistently emphasized that self-knowledge without committed action is simply disguised spiritual narcissism. If you have honestly identified that you have not yet fully developed these signs, there is specific, practical, and transformative work that can significantly accelerate your growth towards authentic spiritual readiness. The first fundamental work is to develop what Jung called the transcendent function, the rare psychological ability to hold apparent paradoxes and contradictions without prematurely trying to resolve them through linear thinking. The married soulmate situation is fundamentally paradoxical in its essence. You love deeply and genuinely, but you must release attachment. You trust in divine timing, but you cannot control when or how. You maintain realistic hope while simultaneously accepting that it may never happen in this life. Practically, this means learning to become genuinely comfortable with uncertainty and ambiguity. Instead of constantly seeking guarantees through compulsive tarot readings, repetitive psychic consultations, or obsessive analysis of signs and coincidences, you develop an internal stability that does not depend on knowing the future with certainty. You practice living fully present in the current moment, while remaining completely open to whatever possibilities the universe may gently bring. The second essential work is to cultivate a regular and significant spiritual practice that connects you with something infinitely greater than this specific romantic situation. Jung meticulously observed that people who become excessively identified with a romantic situation inevitably lose perspective on their greater cosmic purpose and mission. Develop daily meditation, sincere prayer, deep journaling, regular time in nature, creative expression, or meaningful service work. Anything that regularly reminds you that you are part of a larger universal story that transcends personal romantic drama. The third crucial work is to consciously build a life that is genuinely satisfying, rich, and fulfilling, regardless of specific romantic outcomes. This does not mean distracting yourself or desperately trying to forget your soulmate. It means deliberately creating an existence that is so significant, productive, joyful, and satisfying that a romantic reunion would be a beautiful addition, but definitely not a necessity for happiness or fulfillment. Invest deeply and consistently in your career, your unique talents, and your distinctive contribution to the world. Develop friendships that provide genuine emotional support, intellectual stimulation, and loving companionship. Regularly engage in activities that bring authentic joy, growth, and fulfillment. Consciously act, learn voraciously, grow continuously, contribute significantly, systematically build a version of yourself that any mature soul would feel genuinely blessed to share a life with. The fourth work is to consciously heal any psychological wounds that the situation has specifically revealed about your psyche. If you have identified issues of abandonment, actively seek therapy, or engage in deep inner work around these historical themes. If you recognize patterns of attracting unavailable people, bravely explore where these patterns originated in your development and how they served you defensively. If you have discovered tendencies to use romantic fantasy as an escape mechanism, honestly investigate what aspects of concrete reality you are avoiding through this psychological strategy. Jung passionately believed that when we consciously engage with our shadow material with courage and commitment, transformation happens dramatically faster than when we avoid, deny, or repress it. Be fearlessly honest about what the situation is teaching you and consistently do the necessary inner and outer work to integrate these lessons permanently. Finally, regularly practice what Jung called active imagination, consciously creating detailed internal scenarios where you genuinely wish for the absolute happiness of your soulmate, even if it never romantically includes you. Systematically visualize her thriving magnificently in her marriage, growing spiritually through her current life experiences, finding deep, satisfaction and fulfillment on her chosen path. Carefully observe if you can genuinely feel pure joy for her happiness, even when it does not involve you in any way. This challenging practice progressively develops the kind of unconditional love that is absolutely essential for spiritual maturity. And when two people both develop this rare quality of selfless love, union becomes possible in ways that completely transcend normal relationship dynamics. The burning question for most people is there a real and concrete possibility of union with your married soulmate? Jung would categorically say that this question is fundamentally ill-posed. The genuinely important question is not when or how specifically, but whether you will be spiritually prepared to recognize and embrace whatever possibility the universe may present. The first Jungian principle about divine timing is that it never operates according to human schedules or personal expectations. If a union is cosmically destined to happen, it will happen precisely when both people are spiritually prepared to sustain that extraordinary level of conscious connection. This could be months, years, decades, or even never in this physical life. And all of these possibilities are equally valid and significant from the perspective of spiritual evolution. Jung meticulously observed that forcing synchronicities is not only impossible, but actually counterproductive. They arise naturally when there is a perfect alignment between personal consciousness and the universal flow in the context of soulmate connections. This means that a union can only genuinely happen when both people have sufficiently completed their individual process of individuation to sustain a mature and conscious relationship. If she is currently married, there are specific lessons she needs to learn and integrate in that present situation. They may be lessons about commitment, about honoring soul contracts, about developing specific aspects of her personality that only emerge in that particular relational context. Trying to interfere with this natural process is exactly like trying to rush the ripening of a fruit. You might manage to remove it from the tree prematurely, but it will not be sweet or nutritious. The correct and productive role for you during this waiting period is to focus completely and consistently on your own spiritual growth and personal development. Jung repeatedly emphasized that we can only genuinely attract what we energetically vibrate with. If you genuinely want a mature and spiritual union with your soulmate, you first need to become someone inherently capable of sustaining that type of transcendent relationship. This specifically means completely healing your own problematic relational patterns, systematically developing your career, your talents, your unique contribution to the world, genuinely learning to be happy alone, to find authentic purpose independent of romantic validation or external approval, consistently cultivating qualities like deep patience, limitless compassion, practical wisdom, and unwavering faith. Jung fundamentally believed that when two people are truly ready to unite, the universe removes obstacles naturally and gracefully. This can happen in surprising and unpredictable ways, changes that no person could have foreseen or strategically planned. But trying to force these changes through manipulation, pressure, drama, or interference usually results in more complications and delays. If a separation happens naturally in her marriage, it is absolutely crucial that it is not because of pressure coming from you. She needs to reach her own conclusions about what is genuinely best for her life and spiritual evolution. Your function is simply to be available, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, for whatever possibilities the universe may graciously present. But here is a truth that Jung would insist on highlighting prominently. Physical union may not be the ultimate goal or the highest possibility. Some soulmate connections are specifically designed to teach about transcendent forms of love that do not require conventional relationships for fulfillment. The spiritual connection between you may be infinitely more powerful and transformative at a distance than it would be in a premature physical union. The definitive test of your spiritual readiness is your genuine ability to sincerely wish for her happiness, even if she chooses to remain permanently married. If you can genuinely love without possessing, support without controlling, and find authentic joy in her joy, regardless of where it comes from, then you have developed the rare kind of love that soulmate connections are ultimately meant to teach. If you have come this far, you have understood that the encounter with your married soulmate was not a cruel accident of fate. It was a sacred invitation to a form of spiritual evolution that very few humans have the courage or opportunity to fully experience. Carl Jung dedicated his entire life to understanding how the psyche operates through paradoxes and apparent impossibilities. Those events that we most resist are often the ones we most need to grow into our highest potential. The situation you are living is not a mistake to be corrected, but a profound mystery to be embraced with gratitude. Your soulmate may be married in this life because you both need to learn specific lessons that are only possible in this exact configuration. She may be learning about deep commitment, about honoring sacred promises, about developing specific aspects of herself that only emerge in her current relational context. You are learning about unconditional love, divine patience, faith without guarantees, and trust in cosmic intelligence. The universe never wastes experiences. Every moment of pain you have felt, every night you questioned the meaning of it all, every day you chose to love without possessing, all of this is building rare qualities in you that will serve you eternally. You are becoming someone capable of loving more purely, more freely, more transcendently than most humans ever can. You now understand the profound truth that has been waiting for you all along. The ultimate goal was never about possessing another person, but about discovering the person you are becoming. A physical union may or may not happen in the divine timing of the universe, but that is no longer your focal point. The true, unbreakable union has already occurred. The union with your own, higher, divine nature. This is not a consolation prize. It is the greatest spiritual achievement possible. The meaning you have forged from this fire is a treasure no one can ever take away. You have learned to love beyond the ego, and that makes you powerful beyond measure. If this message has resonated in the depths of your soul, and you feel this transformation taking place, I ask you to anchor this power right now. First, to declare this new chapter to the universe, go to the comments and write the powerful affirmation. My journey has made me worthy. This is for you and for me to know that this sacred teaching has fulfilled its purpose. Second, please give this video a like to help this wisdom find others who are lost in the dark and need to hear it. And finally, a huge number of you who watch these videos and receive their value are not yet subscribed. If you are one of them, and you are ready to continue exploring the deepest secrets of the soul with us, take this single moment to hit the subscribe button and turn on all notifications. The journey into the transformative teachings of Carl Jung is vast, and you will not want to miss what we are going to uncover next. Trust this new version of yourself completely. Honor the connection that led you here, and continue to grow into the magnificent person this experience was destined to create. Your true journey has just begun, and it is infinitely more beautiful than you can imagine.